So here's another quick example of relative motion. Okay, so I used to have a friend that had a sailboat, and out on the lake, you're sailing along, and you're sailing along, and there's another boat over here, and this boat's also moving. Now, the problem is this boat's moving, this boat's moving. Okay, so the question is, does that boat pass in front of you, or do you pass in front of that boat, or are you on a collision course? And so each boat is moving, and they're moving in different directions, and they're moving at different velocities. So how would you tell? Okay. So we got one boat over here sailing this way, another boat sailing this way. And so what's happening? Well, relative velocity. What you do is you take a sighting off of this boat. Okay, and you keep moving. As you're moving, this boat's moving. Now, if this boat is going to pass in front of you, that means that the y velocity of the boat has to be bigger than the other. So what happens is the relative is such that it's going to be positive. And so what happens is over time, it's going to be gradually getting this way. So in other words, the angle relative to the front is less. If you're going to pass in front of it, that means that your y velocity is bigger than that y velocity. And so what happens is this bearing gradually drops back this way. On the other hand, if you're moving along and this boat's moving, and then up here, this boat is here, and the bearing doesn't change, if the bearing never changes and it's always the same angle relative to how you're headed, that means that the relative velocities are such that it is coming straight at you relative to you, and that means you are on a collision course. And so even though it's not really moving straight at you, the relative velocity is right at you, and therefore a collision course. And so this is how you know with a boat or a small airplane or something like that, you look at the other craft, whether it be an aircraft or if it's these airplanes or another boat, if you happen to be on the water, and you take a bearing of that other vessel, and then you take another bearing later, and then another bearing later. If those bearings do not change, you are on collision course. If the bearings are changing, you're not on a collision course, and the quicker the bearings change, the farther you are from a near miss. And so this is another example of relative motion in action. I didn't put numbers to it this way. This is a qualitative analysis, but we could have done numbers if you wanted to. So again, this is relative motion and chapter 4 topic.